everyone. My name is Caitlin Maniscalco, and I'm here with Figure Out Baseball for another episode of Real Dugout Confessions. Tonight, I am joined by Jake Schneider from the Truman State baseball team. Jake, thank you so much for being here.
Caitlin, thank you. This has been awesome.
Okay, awesome. So we're just going to think back. I know you're a senior, so it was a little while ago, but your time when you were getting recruited, walk us through a little bit about your personal experience, some schools you were looking at, and why you ultimately decided to go to Truman.
Yeah, that's a good question. So recruiting was a whole process. You're right. It's been a minute ago at this point. But it was a process. It was something that I didn't take for granted. I kind of started early. I know that's kind of been a heavy advice piece early on, is to get out there, get active. And so I did. I tried to kind of figure out what schools I was interested in. I knew for myself that I wanted to go away from home. I did not want to go to school. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I did not want to go to school in St. Louis. And that was actually one of the deciding factors for me, because after I've been to a few showcases and done a few events, I was offered by another school in St. Louis, Lindenwood University. And I ultimately opted to not go to Lindenwood because Truman was the school that was outside of my city. And I enjoyed the academics that they offered. It was a good environment, good guys on the team. Some of those kind of factors kind of went into my decision. But yeah, it was definitely a process, something that I'm glad I started early, and something that I'm glad I had a lot of people along the way kind of help me, because I really didn't know what exactly I was looking for to begin with. So I just started emailing coaches left and right. I feel like emailing coaches was a big part of my process. I sent out, so many emails, just so many, email after email, trying to get in touch with any coach, any response, just kind of building any sort of relationship with anybody, to kind of gain more information about their program. Because if you think about it, it's like an interview both ways. Like, thank you for having me on. This is like an interview as well. You're kind of getting information from me. But if you consider like a job interview, as much as it is that you're applying to that job, so as much as it is that you're a recruit applying to a school, like they're figuring out what you are and all of your accolades and credentials and everything, you also kind of have to interview them. You have to think what's best fit for yourself, all these different things about each school, because, each school is different. So you gotta have to find the best fit for them. And so the whole email thing was huge for me in that regard.
No, I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because I think that's something that I'm trying to get my listeners to understand, is that as much as you want to advocate for yourself and you want to position yourself in a great light for the school, I remember a lot of my travel ball coaches and high school coaches at the time saying, you also want to go to that school, and they kind of have to, show you why you would want to go there. So that's a great way to put it. It's like a back and forth interview.
Absolutely. It's a big deal, because, you don't want to get stuck somewhere that you really just aren't happy. I mean, I know there's options to move elsewhere, but it's take advantage of starting early, and building some sort of relationship to gather more information, and if you don't know what you want, that's okay too, but you have to start early and you have to put in some work to kind of, do I like this kind of school? Do I want a smaller town? Do I want a bigger town? What size school do I like? What kind of coach do I want? All those sort of things are important to start early with.
Right. So going back to you emailing the coaches, did you kind of break down what schools you definitely want to go to and then email coaches, or were you just kind of bulk emailing a bunch of coaches?
Early on, I'd say it was a big amount of bulk emailing,
Right.
because I really had no idea. I didn't know what kind of responses I would get. Again, I'm thinking at this point, I'm probably somewhere between a sophomore and junior in high school, just trying to pump out emails, trying to get anything. And then as I sort of got either responses, or I went on visits, or I talked to other people that were either in college or have gone through this process before or are part of the process, I kind of gained an element of understanding of what it is I wanted in a college. And then I was able to kind of narrow my search down. But even at that point, so, I mean, Truman State's a D2 baseball program. At that point, once I kind of realized like the niche of which I would either, one, be a good fit in for that type of school, and two, the type of school that I wanted, I still pumped out a lot of emails just towards that kind of niche area of the school.
Right. And were you emailing, sorry to keep harping on this, but I'm just very curious. were you emailing Division 1, 2, and 3 schools, or did you kind of say like, I strictly want to go D1, D2? Like, how was that process like?
Right. So early on, like I said, when I was going mass amount of emails, like I was emailing Indiana University and Clemson and all these schools, and shooting for the stars. If you're gonna do it, do it. And I honestly, I got a few feedbacks. I mean, I got a maybe not right now type of deal, but I knew that, and I was actually grateful for a no, because at that point I knew where my abilities and kind of what a coach was looking for from me, and kind of where I fit in my talent level. And at that point, I was able to kind of dial it in, and I was able to talk to a few NAIA, a few D3s that I thought were good programs, and then some D2s as well.
That's awesome. And I interviewed my good friend Chris Kappas, who plays, for the University of Pittsburgh, and we were kind of talking about some of the big challenges in recruiting. And I think for both of us, we were saying that getting that mental focus when a coach is going to come watch you play during those showcases. So I don't know if you had that experience, if coaches came to watch you play, or if you kind of went to camps and clinics, but how did you kind of change that mental mindset to perform well in front of college coaches when, there's a lot on the line in that circumstance?
Right. There is a lot on the line. That's a good point. I never had anybody come watch me play games specifically, but I was able to go to showcases and go to specific camps.
Right.
There was one showcase I went, I think there was 5 of us, and there was 2 or 3 college coaches there to watch. But for me, I kind of took the approach of, one, I'm the baddest in the room. Like, I'm sorry if you're in line behind me catching, I'm a catcher. And so I'm sorry if you have to throw pop times behind me, but I'm going to beat your pop time no matter what.
That's awesome.
Whether I did or didn't that's up to the stopwatch guy. But that was my mentality. Like, hey, like, we're doing this thing. Let's do it. Like, watch me. Like, this is going to happen. Same thing with BP. I mean, like, I would step in the box and think, okay, I'm not going to hit home runs because that's not my game. I didn't try to be that 5-star recruit that the D1 guy wants, because there's not a D1 coach here that's looking at me. But I still try to stick to my game and be confident in like my abilities and who I was. And that's a lot harder said than it is done. And it was definitely a challenge to kind of stay in that mindset. But 2, really being the fact that it's okay if you mess up, because you think about it, there are so many schools out there.
Yes.
There are so many schools, and it's just a matter of aligning the right times in which they see you and you see them, and it's a good fit. And it's like this glorious moment when all things click. And it's okay if there's one school that you've had this conversation or interaction with comes to watch you play and you don't do as well. You strike out twice, or you're a pitcher and you give up X amount of runs that you consider bad. It's okay, because you don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
You don't know. And so if you're able to talk to them afterward, that's great, or shoot them an email or something. You want to appreciate them coming to watch you play, regardless of whether or not it was a showcase or a game, or regardless of how well you play. But it's okay. It'll work out. It'll work out in the end. It really will.
No, oh my gosh, I love that you said that too, because that's such a good point. My teammate Sam, who plays with me here at Ithaca, I remember she said one of the first times that our coaches came to watch her play, she didn't do great, and she went to talk to him after, and our assistant coach literally said to her, like, you were clenching the bat. Like I could tell you were visibly nervous, and I know that's not normally how you perform. Like, don't worry, take some time. I'm going to come watch a couple of other games, watch a couple of other girls. I'll come back to you guys. And I think that's so important. And that's a great point that you made, because a lot of coaches, they know you're nervous. You're 15, 16 years old.
Absolutely.
Impress these notorious, well-known coaches. So obviously that's a great point. Like, they know you're nervous and it's okay to make a mistake.
Right. Exactly. They know exactly kind of what you're going through. They've done it before. It's okay. It'll figure itself out. And like you said, you don't know what they're thinking all the time. And it's okay. They understand it's mistakes. It's recruiting. It can be a stressful, strenuous process. And so it's okay that, you mess up every so often.
No, absolutely. And I don't know, see, a bunch of interviews that I've done, it kind of ranges from school to school, which I was a little surprised about. But I know that when we have recruits on campus, our coach is very adamant about asking us for feedback on the recruits. Does your coach ask for your feedback, or do they kind of make the decision on their own when you guys have recruits for overnights or visits?
Mm-hmm. He always makes sure to ask us what we think.
Okay.
And I think for one skill, like if a kid works out with us, if a guy's taking BP with us on the field or something, or he throws a bullpen, he'll specifically ask me if I'm catching him or something. Sometimes skill wise, he'll just have it decided that like this is a guy we want, you know.
Right.
But more importantly, I think he asks us for the team, like, how does he fit in? Like, was he cool? Do you think he'll get along with the guys? Like, is he a social guy? Or is he not? And regardless of what type of guy he is, like, will he fit in with the team? I think is the most important question that he's trying to figure out. Because as much as it is for a coach to bring in the best talent, you know, he also wants to build a good culture, environment, team atmosphere as well. And so I think he just kind of gets a gauge for whether or not we kind of like the guy just as a person, you know.
No, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree because, they want to build good team chemistry. They want to make sure that they perform well with the team the following year. Obviously, if someone's a little
Right.
bit arrogant or they don't think they're going to mesh well with that dynamic, they probably
Right.
wouldn't fit in.
Yeah, and sometimes we have guys that'll do like an overnight visit or something, and coach asks if one of us can house them for the night, if that's what they decide to set up or whatever, and that's what we'll do. We'll hang out with them. We'll have some of the team come out and whatever we hang out with them. But yeah, there's a lot of time when coach or when the recruit is away from coach, and it's less businessy. It's less like in this recruiting realm, and it's more just like, can he hang out on the ball field? You know.
Yeah.
And more times than not they can, and it's nice to get to know them, and then that's their chance again, like to go back to our previous point, that's their chance to ask any question off the book. They don't even have to talk to coach about this. They can ask like, hey, like, what's coach like,
Right.
that kind of thing.
And I think it's also important for the players because I know when I was getting recruited, there were certain schools that I really liked, but then when I hung out with the team, like you just mentioned, I was like, I don't really mesh well with this group of girls. So I think those overnights are actually really crucial to kind of figuring out if that's the right school for you. Because I mean, personally, I came to Ithaca because I said, oh my gosh, these girls are just like me. Like I could totally see myself fitting in with them. So that's something that I always tell younger athletes is like, make sure you talk to the players because
Oh, absolutely.
you're going to play with them for the next 2-3 years. So make sure you
Yeah,
let them get
ask
along.
the questions, get all the information out from them that you want. Right, try to get along with them. Just hang out at practice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so it's kind of a fun question. I've been trying to
All right,
find a
hit me.
good one that like sticks, but I think this might be a good one. So obviously, as a lot of people know, baseball and softball are the only sports that play like double headers back to back. So I've been asking all of my guests what their favorite in between game snack or meal is, like for your second game.
Ooh,
I know it's
that's
tough.
that's a good question. So we do a few things that I really like. When we're at home, it's on us to bring our own meal,
Okay.
in between games. When we're away, all our parents get together and they decide like who's feeding the boys
Right.
on all the away games, right? Now I don't know if this is maybe the best thing to eat before a game, but my favorite time was when we had Raisin Cane's chicken fingers in between games, and it was the best thing ever because we just lost like on a walk-off or something. It was awesome to come to that and be like, finally, something good.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Nice little comfort food for your second game.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know how well greasy chicken works for before a game. Probably could have had a sandwich instead, but I'm very okay with it.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. I know we have one girl on our team that we used to have like chocolate chip cookies in the dugout. Not really sure why, but she would literally, every time she struck out, she would go in and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to need like another cookie right now just to like mentally get me through it.
Sometimes you take L's, but you don't always have to. You have to reward yourself. It's a headspace thing.
Yeah, it's all about balance.
Yeah, you gotta treat yourself sometimes. She didn't have enough cookies. That's why she struck out.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And okay, looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently in the recruiting process and any advice you would give to a 15 or 16-year-old that's currently in a position that you were once in?
Yeah, so looking back on it differently, I wish I knew then what I know now in
Okay.
terms of how exactly my programs run, how my school dynamic works. I was so set on a few things that I thought I really wanted that I kind of was blinded to some of the other opportunities I may have had.
Okay.
Like I said, it really boiled down to two schools for me, but it didn't have to. I don't think I did enough to reach out across the whole country. I kind of stayed Midwest. That's where I'm from. I wish I had reached out to um, schools on the either coast, because I'm very okay with traveling, and that was something I wanted. I wanted to go away, and I
Right.
went a little bit away. But looking back, I wish I had gone further away to kind of get away from my hometown even more, and really ask those questions, not necessarily about the school, but about the program, in a way that was like, okay, like I know the ins and outs of the program.
Okay.
You know, I'm actually very happy with where I'm at in the current situation. But looking back, I think there are a few things that I'd be like, okay, that would be nice to know, like how college programs work. And so it would be nice to know this way did it this way, or this school did it this way, and this school did it a different way, and kind of had a preference within the program. I just had a preference of the school, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, absolutely. So asking more questions about the specific baseball
Yeah.
program before
Yeah.
going.
So if I was 15 or 16 right now, one, I would be, listen to myself and say that, it's okay. I'm very okay with traveling and branching out. But more than that, if it's the right fit, even close, that's fine. But really asking the questions about the specific program, about the baseball program that I was about to enter into, rather than just like, hey, like what's the size of the school, or like, hey, how are the classes here, or like, hey, is the food good, like these kind of things that are kind of arbitrary, regardless of, do I really care about this or not. But like, because if you think about it, the majority of your time is going to be spent with either your teammates or in practice or in the program, so those are the questions that I should have been asking.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that with that for myself as well. And I wish I could personally answer this, but any advice that you would give to parents to give to their children who are going through the recruiting process?
Advice to parents would be, don't build up some unnecessary pressure. Be there for support, be there for guidance, offer these things. But it's so frustrating when a parent can be hounding over your shoulder, like, hey, did you get this done? Hey, did you talk to this coach? Hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's good to get a little bit of a push, but it's one thing to like, okay, it's their career. Let them take care of it. As a parent, like, I've been thankful enough for this, but I've had teammates that have been like, their parents really want to be in on the know of every single thing that student's going through,
Yeah.
practice, organizational wise, through the whole recruiting process. And it's like, take a step off. Like, that's
Yeah.
not necessary.
Yeah.
It's their career. Give them a push when they need it, but let them make the decisions. Let them come to the realizations of, these are the kind of schools that I want, or this is kind of the schools that I don't want, or something like that. Don't be like that other influence that they just don't need.
I
It's
agree.
hard. I'm sure it's hard to be a parent. Like, that's your child. Like,
Yeah.
you want to send them to the best place ever, that's going to make them the most happiest ever. But for that to happen, you have to let them make those decisions.
Yeah. I know. And I think that a lot of parents are very apprehensive about their kids going away as well. But if they
Yeah.
want to go away, if they want to look at those schools, kind of back off, let them figure it out for themselves, because they have to be there for 4 years. They have to,
Right.
play with the girls, play with the guys, study, go to class, do all of those things. So if
Yeah.
they don't like the
They're the
school,
ones that are going through it, not them, not the parents. And I'm sure it's hard, it really is, because you want them to go to a good school, but that's going to come on their own. It'll be right. And for the parents, it's another good idea to be open to everything.
yeah,
If a student says, hey, like, we're going down to Florida for a summer baseball tournament or summer softball tournament or something, like, let's drive through Mississippi State if we want to, or if we're going that direction or something, like, let's go look at the campus, or, let's see if we can get a meeting with the coach. And whether or not you agree with that's where your son or daughter could go or should go, it shouldn't matter. If they want to, be open to it, do it.
no, that's an awesome answer. And all right, last question.
Go for it, hit me.
So looking back on your 4 years at Truman, what are you most thankful for in the sense that you ended up playing college baseball?
I'm most definitely grateful for the friends, the teammates that I've made good friends with, and then the opportunity to play right away. I was really big on going to a place that if these are going to be the last 4 years of a sport that I have grown up just absolutely loving, I want a chance to play freshman year. Just a chance. I don't need to be given anything. You know, I want to work hard for it and it to be earned and everything. But I
Right.
wanted a chance. And so I'm very thankful that I chose a school that I had the opportunity to get on the field right away and play with some guys that, you know, are going to be lifelong friends. And so that's what I'm very, very thankful for that.
Awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on the
Yes, Caitlin, this has been
podcast.
great.
Best of luck this season, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.